We've all been overwhelmed recently with immigration and foreign wars and tariffs, but we know there's one thing that's really weighing on all of us the most, and that is Melania Trump's statue was stolen from her hometown in Slovenia.
Yeah, even in light of everything that's going on in the world, that theft has just been weighing on our minds.
So for full transparency, I texted this story to Mabel as a joke, but she responded so seriously. She was like, I can't believe someone just took it.
Well, I can't. It's kind of crazy. So the statue is bronze and 26 feet tall. Like, it used to loom basically all over Slovenia. And I guess someone cut it off at the ankles and just stole it. But weirdly, it has no actual face at all. Like, it doesn't look like Melania.
No, it doesn't look like anyone. But this is tragically the second time this statue was destroyed. In 2020, a wooden version was torched.
So this was honestly just too much to bear. After reading this, we really needed a dose of good news. So I hope you know where we're all going with this.
Not Awful News Roundup. And as of today, we're now partnering with our friends over at the Good News Network. So all of these stories are brought to you by them.
We're really excited for this partnership. So they're actually the largest aggregator of good news in the world. And we're launching a series with them. So make sure to follow and subscribe to get more good news. Chemists in Canada have invented a stir stick that you can actually put in your drink to find out if it's been spiked, which would make like going out and nightlife so much safer.
Yeah, it just looks like a little straw or something, so it's super easy to bring around, and it can detect common spiking drugs like ketamine and GHB, which are odorless and colorless, within 30 seconds.
It's called Spikeless, and you basically put like the tip in your drink and it turns pink if it detects drugs, and it works really quickly. It's super easy to use, so I feel like I would take it out if I was going out to a bar.
Yeah, I mean, so would I. I've been out at bars with friends who we think were drugged, but there's no way in the moment to verify. And 1 in 12 college students report being drugged at a party or bar, but the real number is definitely higher since a lot of them go unreported.
And hopefully these sticks can become mass produced soon because they're super cheap to make, like $1 to produce. The maker of Spikeless says that he hopes bars and clubs will just kind of have them on drink stands so that people can use them like normal drink stirs.
In the past, people have tried cups and coasters, straws, even nail polish to detect drugs. So this one I think is the best because it doesn't ruin your drink. The National Institutes of Health is phasing out animal testing in drug development. So Elle Woods finally did it.
While we were writing the story, Ren kept like making this joke and I didn't get it because I've seen Legally Blonde 2 like once.
Well, you're missing out. It is amazing.
Anyway, I feel like we've been waiting for this development from the National Institute of Health for a while now. So instead of using animals, they're moving towards using things like AI models, human cell lines, and even organoids, which are mini lab-grown organs.
Well, the old school method of testing on mice, beagles, even primates has been getting major backlash, not even just for the ethical questions, but also because up to 95% of drugs that work on animals fail in humans. So what is it all for?
Right, like animals have such different anatomies and lifespans and disease characteristics, so it makes sense that they're not the best option for testing drugs.
And the NIH is launching a new office to oversee this new focus. It's called ORIVA, and it'll be the Innovation Command Center for Human-Based Research. So less animal testing, more science that actually works on humans.
The world is looking a little brighter for people with peanut allergies. So a first of its kind clinical trial has shown that you can microdose peanuts and eventually build up a tolerance to them. So 2/3 of the participants in this trial could consume 5 peanuts at the end of the study without having a reaction.
Well, I am so happy for them. One, because having a peanut allergy seems literally impossible to manage. Like, peanuts aren't everything, or other food is made in the same facilities where peanuts are. And 2, because they don't have to live without the magic of peanut butter or Reese's anymore.
And looking into the story reminded me of when I was 1. I was like allergic to everything. I was allergic to like eggs and strawberries and cheese and just like literally everything. And my mom would microdose me like those foods basically every single day, even though the doctors told her not to. And so I would just like projectile vomit and like burst out into rashes like every single day for a year until eventually I did build up a tolerance to them. So like, don't try this at home because maybe you'll die or something, but it worked on me. So this makes sense.
Well, thank God she did that. I guess that process is called oral immunotherapy, and it's been very successful in infants. But this recent study is the first time ever there's been a grown-up peanut immunotherapy trial. That's what it was actually called. And now they're testing in bigger trials to see if the immunity stays long-term. Question for all the musicians out there. What if I told you your next guitar could be made from a city sidewalk tree in California.
Yeah, so companies like Taylor Guitars are literally turning urban trees, like the trees that, shade your morning jog, into ready-to-play professional-grade instruments.
That's all thanks to a super cool program by arborists that manage the greenery for over 300 cities. And for every tree they have to take down, they plant 2 more.
So instead of throwing out like perfectly good wood, they have this program called Street Tree Revival where people can track which trees are coming down and then go to the wood and scoop it up to make things.
So instead of rainforest wood like rosewood or ebony, which, are tied to deforestation, this is all local, sustainable, and people say it sounds just as good.
And who knows, the next Taylor Swift song could be played from one of these guitars.
Scientists have mapped the full complexity of the brain in 3D for the first time. Like, look at this diagram. It literally looks like an electric forest, but it's actually the functional wiring system of your brain.
It's so crazy. This detailed diagram came from a sample of tissue the size of a grain of sand. And it took 150 scientists over the course of 7 years to collaborate on what they say is the most complicated neuroscience experiment ever attempted.
So they reconstructed 120,000 brain cells, again, from a grain of sand, and collected so much data about the brain, it's equivalent to 22 years of nonstop high-def video.
And according to these scientists, this opens up so much learning about like the brain's form and function and even diseases like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and autism at an unprecedented scale. Quote, if you have a broken radio and you have the circuit diagram, you'll be in a better position to fix it.
And that makes sense. I just can't get over how cool the inside of our brain looks, and to think that all of those wires are sending messages, that we have thoughts and feelings, and like, it seriously blows my mind, pun intended.
That was a bad one, Ren. So Sotheby's has halted their planned auction of gemstones that were found next to ashes and bone fragments of the Buddha after India got involved, saying that it violated international law.
So we didn't know this, but apparently 1,800 stones that are called the Buddha's gem relics were found in a large sarcophagus-like chamber under one of the Buddha's 8 relic stupas, which are domed burial mounds. And so, if that's confusing, basically when the Buddha was cremated, his relics, which are like bones and ashes, were divided into 8 portions and given to 8 different kingdoms, and each of them built a stupa to enshrine the relics, and these gems were in one of those.
And these specific gems in India were dug up by a British colonial who actually gave a lot of these gems to like museums in India, but then kept a fifth of them. And they've been passed down to his descendants, who are now obviously selling them to Sotheby's. And everyone knows how valuable these are. So Sotheby's on their website said, nothing of comparable importance in early Buddhism has ever appeared at auction. It holds unparalleled religious, archaeological, and historical importance.
So India called on the relics to be withdrawn from the auction because the sale would violate Indian and international law, as well as the United Nations conventions. The next day, the sales webpage was taken down.
And we've seen these stories a lot recently. Actually, one of these stories was like my last 60 Minutes story, where people are just kind of debating the true ownership of art and gems. So we'll see what happens with these gemstones.
And finally, there's now an antidote that neutralizes the venom of 19 of the world's deadliest snakes. So like the black mamba, king cobra, and tiger snakes.
So researchers used the antibodies from a human donor with hyperimmunity to snake venom. And he wasn't born with this, like weirdly. He got the immunity from voluntarily self-inducing himself with snake venom for 18 years.
No, like, why was he doing that?
I don't know.
Where did he get access to the world's deadliest snakes constantly? He says he's undertaken hundreds of bites and self-immunizations with escalating doses from 16 species of very lethal snakes that would normally kill a horse.
It's literally like the peanut story and my mom like microdosing me with strawberries times like a million. Like, we don't really understand what his goal was for 18 years at the point, but we're glad it helped scientists create something called Antivenom. So basically they took this guy's like isolated antibodies and injected them into mice that were infected with poisonous like snake venom and created an anti-venom cocktail that apparently proved very effective.
It's so cool, and they hope it will cover more than 1 million snake bites annually worldwide.